Hey, y'all. Let me know if you can hear me. Happy Sunday. We are here again. So, here I was doing some upgrades. I had a mic and I plugged my mic in. And when I got started, I couldn't hear anything. So, I'm not going to be able to use this mic. So, let me know if you can hear me as people start to feed in. Happy Sunday and welcome back to Rewind the Light. Okay, let me pull up. Hey, hey. Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. We're back at our regularly scheduled time for Rewind the Light, Black Sitcom Spotlight. And I am just a talking and talking, so I really hope that people can hear me because I had to unplug that mic, unfortunately. Darn it. I'm like, I really thought I was doing something. I'm like, okay, I don't want it to be going in and out and all that jazz. Well, anyway, we are here again. And let me first shout out and say thank you so much. Last week, y'all got me to my very first YouTube goal of 100 subscribers. We're there and beyond. So we're on to our next goal of 500. And I look forward to chatting it up with y'all and y'all taking the journey with me. So here we are for another new episode of Rewind the Light Black Sitcom Spotlight. And well, first of all, let me just say again, I'm new here, but I've been meeting some great people, and y'all have been so awesome. But here on Light Novel Letitia, you can expect laughs and lipstick, black show recaps, black sitcom rewinds like we hear today, soap opera drama, and trivia. I mean, I did say soap opera drama, but I'm behind on Beyond the Gates. I haven't even put one video up just yet, but it's okay. It's still coming. I'm still working on it. You know how life be life in and it be like that sometimes. But anyway, if you come in as you're coming in, don't forget to like this video. And if you're not subscribed already, what are you doing? Because we're having a good time over here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. So again, this is the segment that we call Rewind the Light, Black Sitcom Spotlight. And this is my new series where we're taking a nostalgic look or trip back to our favorite Black sitcoms and uncovering the timeless life lessons in a new light. So, for our nostalgic trip back today, we're talking about couples with no toxicity, just chemistry. So, this is a loving, normally we take an honest look back, and not that this isn't honest, it definitely is. But I feel like it's more of a loving, we're lovingly looking back at our favorite Black sitcoms and the unsung couples who got it right and kept it cute. Okay. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. My earring. This earring is like, it won't stay on. Well, anyway, so listen, remember last week, was it last week? No, 2 weeks ago, when we talked about the weddings that we should have gotten. And we were able to recognize one couple that I feel like we just don't talk about their love story enough. And that is Dr. Kimberly Reese and Dr. Spencer Boyer. So I guess she was going to be Dr. Kimberly Reese Boyer from a different world. They had a beautiful love story. They met, I believe, like in residency, where they're both in medical school, and they went to classes together. They studied together, and it was just a very organic love story. He romantically called her dad to ask for permission. It was such a sweet story. And I'm just like, oh, we don't talk about them enough. We always get the um the notoriety of Dwayne and Whitley. And then we also get the drama of Ron and uh, Freddie, but we very rarely talk about Kim and Spencer. And I just think that that's a shame. So, well, anyway, it's based on that. Today, we're going to take a look back at some couples that I felt like just did not have. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. So they just don't get their due. Those couples don't get their due like they should. And many times when we think of Black couples in our sitcoms, the ideal couple is who? The Huxtables. I mean, people always bring up the Cosby Show because we loved ourselves some Claire and Cliff, right? Or Cliff and Claire. Hey, hey, Monique. Welcome. How you doing? We are talking about those love couples and non-struggle love couples. They had no toxicity, just chemistry. So they're the couples that we don't recognize quite well enough. And today they're gonna get their flowers and they get their just due. So again, people think the ideal couple is, most people just they blurt out the Cosbys. We have the husband and father who was the doctor. We have the wife and mother who is the attorney. They have five beautiful children. Kids never really got into any real big trouble, and it again, very ideal. They were affluent. They lived in a suburb in Brooklyn, and it was all great and wonderful. That could be a couple goals. But then we have the love story on the opposite end of the economic spectrum, and that's our favorite project family, as Alderman Davis would say, the Evans family, James and Florida. And we love them as a couple. They were definitely loving. They were down for each other. But baby, they was always struggling. And I felt like if it wasn't for our good mama, good sis, good auntie Florida, they could have been out of the hood, I think, a couple of times. They could have been out of the parlance for the 70s was ghetto. So they could have been out of the ghetto many times over if it wasn't for Florida's self-righteousness and being all extra. I just felt like she never wanted to take a chance, as if she felt like that was her that like poverty was always where they were supposed to be, even though they had an artist son and James was a really hard worker. Even without um a lot of education, he still did pretty well when it came to like some of the jobs he got. He had been promoted a few times and all that sort of thing, but I feel like they were always struggling. So I would like to address those that are kind of in the middle. We're talking about non-struggle love, and I'm not talking about just economic non-struggle. We're also talking about like no struggle bust love, not looking for potential and you hoping that things will get better. Potential is okay in your 20s, but you can see that 40 plus era, that potential thing is not it. You dating people for potential. No. They kind of need to have their stuff together, or at least be ready, for those relationships. So when we're talking struggle or non-struggle love with these couples, it's not just about the socioeconomic status. It's also about their attitude about love as well. And so my hey Demarcus, welcome. How you doing? So our very first couple is the Winslows. Carl and Harriet Winslow. They were a middle class family in Chicago. Carl was a police officer. I do believe he did go up the ranks in the police force. And Harriet, this was, by the way, y'all, so this was a spinoff anyway of Perfect Strangers, where Harriet was actually, she was the elevator operator at one of the buildings or the building that one of the guys from Perfect Strangers worked at. And so I think even Carl had made an appearance or two even in that show. So they lived in, middle class neighborhood in Chicago. They were hardworking. They started off with three kids. And somehow we lost Judy to the upstairs, and they had two kids. Again, just what you're gonna learn in Family Matters is there's gonna be an after school special. You know what I'm saying? They talk about all sorts of topics, and but what I loved about them is that they were always lovingly held each other accountable. Um, Carl and Harriet. They lovingly held their children accountable. They talked about their vulnerabilities and they were vulnerable with each other. They didn't mind, they loved on each other in front of their children. And it was just a sweet thing. And I feel like they just don't get enough. They don't get enough love. So the Winslows are my first one. Um, let's see. So then our next one is, oh, I just wanted to show this too, that they were always on each other. They had each other's back and they were always pretty much on the same page. We're not even talking about all of the drama that happened because I feel like in general this show, I'm not sure that it aged that well when it comes to Urkel, but we're talking specifically about their black love and how it was relatable. And when you're talking about goals and things like that, I think this is something that is attainable. So then the next couple is the Petersons, Robert and Jerry Peterson from the Parenthood. They were a beautiful brown family from Harlem. I think they were in the suburb of Harlem. Is there such thing? But they were in Harlem. But he was a college professor, and I believe she started off as a housewife, but then later on went to law school and became an attorney. Talk about loving. They were so loving. They loved themselves. They loved their family. They loved their friends. They loved the community. They were very community minded. And if you know anything about Robert Townsend, you know that there's going to be a life lesson, most likely some parody, which it was, and some life lessons in there. As a matter of fact, this show, just a little trivia, because I like trivia, I know that. This show was actually originally supposed to be called Father Knows Nothing. And, obviously it's a parody on Father Knows Best. Because, again, Robert Townsend is the king of parodies. Um, and but I think they ended up changing. I'm not sure the reason, but my guess is that the Parenthood was a better fit only because it fit around the entire family and it wasn't just about. I think for the very reason we're talking today, it wasn't just about Robert as the father, it was about the parents and the parental unit and what they contributed to their family. But they were very much community minded. Remember, they took in TK. He was, I think he was a homeless teen and he had gotten into a lot of trouble and everything. And Robert worked at the community center with the youth. And you're always going to teach life lessons there. So, okay, let's talk about, see what y'all talking about here in the comments. I love Alex and Carla Reed relationship in Read Between the Lines. Okay, so thank you, Demarcus, for bringing them up. I did too, but to be honest, they didn't make my list, but they could. And I'm glad you brought them up because I don't remember a lot from that show. I did watch it because that's the one with that was the one with Tracy Ellis Ross and Malcolm Jamal Warner, correct? I believe so. And it was a cool show, and I think together they were funny and they seemed loving and everything. But I just don't remember much about the show for me to have added them to the list. So yes, please remind me. That was the show with those two, right? Remind me, please. Okay, who else? What else? This is funny because this is actually the first couple I thought of. Yes, when I was younger, I loved seeing a huge family like this represented because it felt like I was seeing my own family in them. See, that's what I'm talking about. Relatable. And I feel like these couples just do not get the respect and love that they deserve, even though they were um again relatable. They're definitely kept couple goals. They were all about life lessons. Let me tell you something what I love about the Parenthood. My favorite character on the Parenthood was Nicholas. His the actor's name is Curtis Williams, and I loved him because for a little boy, they gave him such powerful storylines. He was teaching all sorts of lessons, and every single time they gave him a hard lesson to teach, he rose to the occasion. Remember, he did y'all see that episode where he was in a like a school play, or he had to talk about somebody black that he admired. I believe it was probably for Black History Month, and he wanted to be Buckwheat, And of course, it was everybody was in a big uproar because buckwheat is based on stereotypes and all that sort of thing, whatever. But what he did was he came out as buckwheat and he said the old tay and everything, but then he went into the actors and how the black actors of that time had to go and had to get those roles because they were the only ones available to them, but they paved the way for other black actors. And that was, that's also along the storylines of Hattie McDaniel. And, you know what I'm saying? So it was such a powerful episode, but oftentimes they gave Nicholas the lessons to learn and he nailed it every single time. Yes. Both couples definitely should be on the list. I definitely agree. I agree. Would you, the paperhood, be giving Cosby Show vibes? I don't think they gave Cosby Show vibes because um I think Cosby is set aside. Like again, we're looking at an affluent family. The Parenthood family was, I mean, they made good money, and they lived well, but they were still kind of a higher middle class family, just a middle class family. They were very much involved in the community. Again, they lived in Harlem. And I forgot to give their dynamics too. They also had what did they have? They had four children. They had four children. So it's Kenny, Zaria, Nicholas, and Cece. I love this family because you were looking at a beautiful brown family, that was making it, doing well. The kids were good. And again, they cared so much about the community. So I was right. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Yes, that was the one with Malcolm Jamal Warner and Tracy Ellis Ross. I did enjoy the show, but I don't remember it that much. Now you're gonna make me go back and go looking for it so I can watch a couple of episodes because I haven't. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on YouTube coming up where people are uploading black sitcoms. So I'm seeing a lot of like Girlfriends and Family Time, and even what's Curtis and Ella. The Tyler Perry one? That one too. I'm seeing a lot of those. So I would love if somebody started uploading the Read Between the Lines. So that's my spiel on the Petersons. I love them. They were beautiful and they treated each other with such respect. And it wasn't even just about their family members. I forgot their friends too were also very an integral part of their tribe. Wendell, played by Faison Love, he was a very big deal at the very early parts of their seasons. And then they brought in Kelly Perrine, who played, I forgot his character's name. Oh, I think his name was Kelly. I think his name was Kelly. Yes, House of Pain. Yes, House of Pain with Ella and Curtis. Although, I mean, they were a funny couple, but I wouldn't add them to this list at all. But yeah. So I loved me some Parent. Absolutely, it's funny because I see the clip of Nick was saying, "Yep, Jigga, please, just getting." I'm sorry, getting used constantly on the Black Twitter. Yes, I've forgotten about that episode, so I can only imagine the lesson there. Yes, but they gave Nicholas so many difficult topics, including, I believe there was one with like stranger danger, but it got kind of really dangerous. That was just very interesting. He doesn't get what he deserves as an actor either because of what he pulled off as a child actor. And I really commend him. So every single time the Parenthood comes up, I'm gonna bring up Curtis Williams because it was always Nicholas for me. He was funny, he was clever, but he was really smart too as a child, and definitely he had more adult attributes than like childhood behavior. But it was wrapped in his childhood cleverness, but also he could be kind of mischievous sometimes too. But it was super cute. Okay, so the next couple, y'all, is my favorite couple of all times. Again, we love us some Huxtables, but these are my favorites. They lived in a brownstone in DC. Mary and Lester Jenkins of 227. I They are my favorite TV couple of all time. Favorite. Mary was a housewife, and Lester worked in construction. At some point, he got his own business, but he always did really well for them for their family. They had one daughter, Brenda, of course, we know as Regina King. And what I loved about them the most was that or what I loved about them is that they laughed and they understood one another. And when I tell you, Mary was always wrapped up in some mess. She had all kinds of shenanigans going on with Pearl and Sandra and Rose. But Lester loved him some Mary. He loved his wife down. And what I loved most about them is that they always made reference to hanky panky. Okay? Always. It was a common thing in their home. They were always running to the bedroom to get their freak on. But it was in a loving, fun manner. I never remember Brenda being like ill, being disgusted by them or anything like that. They always pushed love. And that is why I love them. I love them because, again, so many episodes where they would race each other to the bedroom, and again, I think marriage was an important thing, or just couples in general was an important thing here, even though her friends were um, single, but they still pushed the narrative of a marriage. Because remember, Rose, she was married and she was widowed, and then, but you know what? What I didn't care for was why they did not continue to explore that relationship. She had met this guy. He used to work with Lester. And he originally was supposed to be on a date with Sandra, but Sandra canceled because she thought it was boring. But when him and Rose went out, they really enjoyed each other. They loved poetry. He invited her to New York. She went. And then after that, we just never saw him again. I don't know what happened in there. And then there was the storyline where Sandra was about to get married. Well, let me not talk about Sandra real quick. Before then, Pearl, remember she had met that man at a bar, and older gentleman, whatever, and she married him really quickly, and Mary was like, no, don't marry him. He's a swindler, blah, blah, blah. And come to find out that the man was dying and she didn't want him to be alone. So 1 week after their honeymoon or something like that, he actually did pass away. But they did address that with Pearl and Love in the latter years, and then Sandra's storyline regarding marriage. She actually got to the altar and everything, but they didn't go through with it. He was a math teacher, and baby, y'all know she was not. And this is precisely what we're talking about. When you're matching up with your couple, what I loved about them, it would have been nice because they were a beautiful couple together. They got along, they loved each other. It would have been nice. But I like how they came to the realization that she just was not going to be able to live like that. Like he lived on a math teacher's salary because he loved to teach the kids. So he really just did not make enough money for her, and she had to realize that that's not, she's always wanted a rich man. She's always wanted more out of life. And I feel like this is where, in my opinion, what Whitley should have done, walked away from Dwayne, because he just was not going to give her what it is that she wanted in life. So I really respected Sandra for that. I know we were always used to her being out here with these rich men and dating all these other men or whatever. But I really believe it's important for you to get what you want in a relationship, period. There's no place like home. When your family around you, you're never alone. Okay. Okay, yes. Nicholas is holding down after Big Brother. He did indeed. Yes, he did. Another great couple. They are. 227 is based off a play written by a Chicago woman about her everyday life in her neighborhood. Thank you, Monique, for sharing. I love that. Oh, thank you for jumping on our trivia. I appreciate that. I love that. I didn't even know that. I really didn't. And it makes sense, and it goes right along with the thing. Again, very relatable. This is somebody's story. These are couples you can aspire to be, because most people are just everyday people, and they go to work, they take care of their family, they want some peace and quiet and want to do some things on the side that they really enjoy and move on with life. Not everybody is going to be a doctor, not everybody's going to be an attorney, but there are other ways to still have happiness and still be stable with your family. So again, this was my favorite couple. And y'all know me enough to know that I have some honorable mentions. So those are my three top couples that are, again, this is non-struggle love, no toxicity, just chemistry. They love each other, they respected each other in the relationship. And then of course, here are my honorable mentions. So, oh wait, I have another picture of Mary and Lester as well because they look good in this picture. So I just had to show y'all. But Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv. Now, Demarcus, this is who I would compare to the Huxtables. I would put them on the same level as the Huxtables. Um, I think that people find them to be ideal as well. I just think that when most people think couples or ideal couples, they automatically go to Cliff and Claire. But we know as a community, we love us some Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, and this is the only Aunt Viv that we recognize. Period. No offense to the other one, but this is the one we love. What I love about them is, yes, they were affluent. They took their family and raised their family in a prestigious place. They had three children, but they still never forgot where they came from. They participated in social justice things and civil rights movements. And what I loved again most about them is that how much they affirmed each other. And do y'all remember this episode where he was just lovingly giving so many affirming words to his wife, having her look in the music in the mirror, showing how beautiful she is. And that was like one of the ones that stick out for me, one of the scenes. But they were always doing something romantic. They would dance with each other, they would laugh and joke. And I like their balance too, because sometimes Uncle Phil could be a little bit more serious, um, but Aunt Jan, I mean, not her real name is Janet. I want to call her Aunt Janet. Aunt Viv was also, she had a playful side and she loved when the kids played. That's why her and Will got along well on the show anyway. So well because she still had like a childlike spirit. So that's my honorable mention for them. My next one is Um, Janet or Jay and Michael Kyle from My Wife and Kids. What I liked about them, and I'll let y'all know, I did not watch this series in its entirety. I just, I watched it here and there, and even still, I see it like, clips on YouTube. But what I loved about each other is that they were silly as hell. And I love a fun couple. You know what I'm saying? I'm silly. My man need to be silly. If you can laugh with each other and laugh at each other, whatever, I think it just makes it so much easier to like navigate that love as well as navigate life and together. They even explored humor when it came to dealing with some really crazy situations when it came to their kids, and especially Junior because he would be a wild ride of a child, I swear. Um, but yeah, but they were a fun couple. Fun couple. Exactly. Period. We don't know that other woman. We don't know her. Okay. I always go back to that scene. Viv had her insecurities about age, missing out on becoming a dancer. And then Phil completely lifted her up after she slayed that performance. Oh, and you just posted. Yes. Yes, they were. That was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And I love how we still, not only did she get that dancer moment too, it became super iconic. People are repeating it now. It's on TikTok, it's on everywhere, and just another reason why we just love Aunt Viv. And again, why this couple is one of the mentions because again, that kind of vulnerability and them showing that on screen for us is it's a beautiful thing and exactly why we're here today. They don't get their just due. I think we think of them, but as a couple, I don't think they get enough flowers. So, so our next couple Already talked about Michael and Kyle. I'm sorry, Mike and Jay. But Khadijah and Scooter, no, they didn't actually get married yet. But I love for them is their friend to lover navigation. And I love how even though they got engaged prematurely, because they never had no business getting engaged, they were not ready. But I love that they put it on pause when they weren't ready. And then when they were at the very end, I think they had accomplished all the things they wanted to accomplish. And it was just time because Khadijah put so much of her time, sweat, tears into Flavor magazine that she really didn't have much of a life. And Scooter had been trying for years to like, okay, what's going on? And then when they finally got into a relationship, he had to go leave and do what he needed to do for his job. And so at the very end, though, they did get back together. And she went off with him back to LA, didn't take no bag or nothing. So just grabbed her purse, turned the lights out, and they were off. And I would have loved to have been able to explore more with them because I loved them together. I nothing against Alonzo. He was cool and everything, but that clingy situation that they had was not it. So I felt like Scooter was the one for Khadijah. And if y'all remember this scene, this episode, this was so funny. She was like, Regine, sit your Egyptian ass down. So anyway, and I remember at the end of this episode too, where he was like, "Come on, let's go home" or whatever. She was like, "Oh," he said something really sweet to her, and she was like, "For you to say that to me while I look like this," and she was like, let's go," and he was like, "Do me a favor, wear the bonnet tonight." I love them, y'all. If you can't guess by now, I love the romantic stuff. So how it plays out is always love for me. Love it. Who are you? This entire party. Khadijah, his girlfriend. That was funny. That episode was a mess, but it was hilarious. I always liked when Scooter came on the scene. And so I meant to say at the beginning of this, so we're back. I'm like, baby, I'm back again. Because that's what Scooter would say, baby, I'm back. Okay, let's see. Regine. They said it was Patty LaBelle. It was Little Bo Peep. That it was a mess. Why did she even put it on? I get well, she another way she was there just supporting her man in her relationship. She put on that thing, looked the hot fool, a hot mess, and she still showed up. And he still did not care. He was introducing her as his girlfriend. They was dancing, having a good time at his party. Heck, he didn't even know that they weren't supposed to be doing the costumes, but he didn't shoo her away. He wasn't embarrassed. And I love that for Khadijah. I hated that she was so insecure. She let Regine get in her head about some mess. Because before you went to that apartment to go check that stuff, and Regine being nosy about the facts, just doing too much. Now, she knew doggone well that Scooter was not cheating on her. There was no reason. She was doing too much. Okay, and so we got two more for the honorable mentions. The next one is Cedric and Lovita from Steve Harvey's show. Let me tell y'all something. They did not play about each other. They love them some them. And I was not mad at them. They're an honorable mention because I don't know if I would. They're like couple goals, but they are a couple silly goals. They're a couple I got your back goals. They could depend on each other. I love that for them. They were cute, and it was kind of like a kid like couple. And for me, if for anything else, I mean, they were a reminder to always, have fun with your spouse. They were gonna do things together. They gonna dress alike. They gonna have these, these shirts were a mess. But hey, listen, you will know he's with me and she's with me, and you know that they were together. And then the last, oh no, shoot, I guess there was one more after that. The next couple, again, honorable mention, is um Victor and Tanya Baxter from That So Raven. They were fun, they were respectable, but this show was not really it wasn't really about them as a couple or as parents or anything. This show was much more about Raven and her friend shenanigans. So this was kind of a side character thing for us to see this couple interact. But they were fun and they got along well and they parented well and they laughed at their children, which I thought was funny. Too, because they were to deal with Corey with his crazy stuff. He was clever. He's very similar to Nicholas on the Parenthood, and always had some shenanigans going. And I feel like they were the perfect parents because they knew how to be silly too, even when the shenanigans went down. So yeah, that's my spiel about Tanya and Victor Baxter. Let's go back to yes. Love said and Lovita Alizé Jenkins. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They did not play about each other. And I loved when they got married. Now, them moving in with Steve was not it. And they definitely needed to have their own space. And I'm glad that finally that was ended up being the case and everything. But um, so I'm trying to like debate whether or not I wanted didn't Steve and Regina get together? I think they did, but I'm trying to debate whether or not I wanted them together. I think in the early part I wanted them to get together, but once at the end when they did, I kind of was like, I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Okay, I just watched the episode where Regina moved in and started snoring, and they woke up in matching Tweety Bird pajamas. They definitely didn't mind making use of chocolate whipped cream and see what I'm saying, food items. Okay. Bring all of that on because that's what couples are supposed to do. Keep it fresh, you keep it spicy, you do your thing. And I love when they show that sort of thing because I think that in a world that we live in, they're always perverting stuff, you know, and making it like sex is a bad thing. It's not when it's appropriate and it's between two consenting adults. And when two consenting adults love each other, that's even better because they're going to have each other's back, to have, respect and love to go along with it. And if they could share that and pass it on to their kids for their kids to be the same way, that would be a beautiful thing. Yes. Yes, I do. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so that they brought Tanya back for Raven's Home. I knew her dad was on there, but I didn't realize that Tanya had come back too. Okay, yay! I am glad about that because they had when she left the show. Right, that's so Raven when she left the show. I was trying to remember what was the reason. I feel like she either had some other show going on or she has some life. Oh, I think she had a life thing going on with a family member. I think she was caretaking. But on the show, or caregiving, I'm sorry. But on the show, they had her go away to like London, someplace in Europe to go to law school. I'm like, did they even make any sense? But I'm like, why would she go to live abroad to study in order to practice law in the US? How does that even work? But that's what they did. I mean, there's Disney for you. And my last couple in the honorable mention, and y'all tell me if y'all would consider them goals or not. Because I'm going to tell you, I didn't watch this in its entirety either, but I've seen some episodes and I listed them here. I'll also have what's called a questionable mentions. So I don't know if they should really be an honorable mention or if they should be questionable. Y'all let me know. Dre and Bo and Rainbow. Um, I thought they were, I mean, I guess this would be, the affluent side again. I think this is based on someone's real. real story too. And the idea that Dre was like, yes, I moved my family out to an affluent place for them to have a better life or whatever, but he was grappling with the idea of that, he wanted to still be connected to his roots and was worried that they assimilated too much. And so he wanted to, that's where the Lawrence Fishburne character came in, because he came in as the fight power character who is going to always be the reminder of your roots. But they seemed like they were a cool couple. But the reason why I mentioned them as an honorable mention is because ultimately they did get back together. But there was a very rocky situation where after she had postpartum, I believe, after the last baby, and they just were not on the same page. And they ended up separating. He moved out of the house and everything. And then she went back to work and didn't tell him, and there was a big argument. And for it was very touch and go for a minute there. I thought they were actually going to divorce, but they still navigated through this. Still took, and they're also a progressive family too, so or a progressive couple as well. So I like that about them. But I do like that they navigated through a very difficult situation and was able to bring it back and be on the mend by the time the show ended. So, you know, I guess I'll keep them on the honorable mention side, because in truth, everything is not always going to be hunky dory. I did not think they were toxic though, and I did think that they have chemistry. They were just navigating something very difficult. So theirs was less of a sitcom and kind of more of a dramedy, in my opinion. Yes, she was taking care of her ailing grandmother. I knew it was something. And she had to leave the show. I didn't watch Blackest in its entirety either. And yeah, I couldn't. Well, I don't think I remembered like when it was on, but when it was more streaming or I could see it online somewhere, that's when I watched it more often. I did see some episodes of Mixish, and that little girl that played her sister. Oh my gosh. She's an awesome child actor. I said, "Oh my goodness, she was really good at what she did." And some of those episodes were really funny. And I was like, Zach Morris out here working more than I had ever seen him. But sometimes I don't recognize him because he's in Monique, he's in your in Found, right? I'm like, Zach Morris out here working, and I feel like he undercover, like I don't even recognize that it's always him sometimes. I didn't watch it initially, but when I finally got caught up, I really enjoyed the dynamic between them. Shout out to the Mini Girlfriends reunion. And now, yes, in that one episode, yes, I love how they did. That would have been cute if they had actually had their names. But I do love the tribute and the ode to girlfriends, and it was also a response to the audience because we have been wanting a girlfriends reunion forever. I know I did. At least I wanted a movie where they could show where Joan got married, at least. Sex in the City got it. Why didn't we get something? That's all I'm saying. Yes, he was in Found. Yes, Zach Morris out here. His name is Mark, but yeah, he out here working, and I love it. So that's my last honorable mention, and I have two questionable mentions. Now they are not struggling; they're non-struggling, but I don't know if I necessarily say that they were couple goals. And let's see, George and Weezy. So they moved on up, okay, to the east side, but and I don't feel like they ever forgot their roots or anything like that. Back in the day in the 70s, these 70s sitcoms, child, the N word was flying, the H word was flying all over the place because George was about that life and he's about his business. But as a couple, child, I don't know if I could I don't want to be arguing with nobody that damn much. They argued about everything. Everything. And he didn't play about his family though. He loved him some Wheezy. He loved his mama. He loved his family. But and also I liked the first Lionel first. I liked him best. He was fine too. I liked him best. Because when the second Lionel came, his whole personality changed. He wasn't at all the first Lionel was more like George. The second Lionel came in a little bit more like Weezy. And he, I mean, he did a good job. The second one did a good job, but it's always the first Lionel for me. Again, they argue too much. So love them. And I love, and then they argue so much, and then they took their argument on the road. Because remember that episode in Fresh Prince where they was fighting Lisa and Will with them whatever, the pool noodles or whatever they was hitting each other with? A mess. It was always about that yap, yap, yap. And I just, in real life, I couldn't deal, with that. Just too much drama. And then the last family, or the last couple actually we have it's a questionable mention. I guess, but it's the couple we love to see in dysfunction, is Max and Kyle from Living Single. And this picture right here depicts exactly how their relationship was. Max was very, like, she never wanted to be vulnerable for this man. And he would pour his heart out for her. He would wine her, dine her. Now, at first, it started off with all their quips and everything, and that was just their love story, was that they snapped on each other, you know. But there were some times where it would have been cool if they had just, when she would just melt into the man's arms, okay? Because he loved her. He really wanted to be with her, and sometimes she just wouldn't give. She would not give. Now, they had no problems in the bedroom, though. They had no problems there. It was when they were standing up that all the problems occurred. And I hated that, to be honest, for Kyle, not so much for her. I'm like, for instance, she was not tied to anything. I think she was a public defender. And I'm not saying that that's not important, but she should have hopped her behind on that flight and went to London. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Go live a soft life for a little bit. You can always come back and practice law anytime you want to. She could have explored. I wish she just would have said, okay, I'm going to let my guard down for once and go explore my love story with Kyle. That's all I wanted her to do. That's it. Have there ever been any replacements in a show that actually worked? Claire and My Wife and Kids is the only one I can think of, but I didn't realize that there was another one until I got older. Yes, I do. I agree with that one. Let me see. I'm trying to think. Who else had a replacement that I thought? I don't know, because oftentimes you get connected. We get so connected to that first one. Oh, nope, it didn't work. Because remember, they replaced Harriet Winslow too. That did not work. I love that actress, but because she played Gina's mama in Martin, but she was no man. There's only one Harriet Winslow we recognize. There's only one Aunt Viv that we recognize. There's only one Lionel that I recognize. And but oftentimes I think that we just get so connected to that first character that when they go to replace it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's such a shock. Like, did y'all watch Saints and Sinners? Because if you did, I was mad when they replaced Malcolm, not Malcolm. Was it Malcolm? Yes, when they replaced Malcolm. The first not Malcolm, what was his name? What was Malik? I'm sorry, Malik. The first Malik Thompson that came up on there, the guy with the really high cheekbones. I think he plays on Sisters, or did play on Sisters, or if it's not Sisters, then it's Brothers. I forgot his name, but he's what I really connected to. He looked the part. I loved him, and then they replaced him with Karan, the one that plays Malcolm in the Black Hamptons. They replaced him with him. He was the second Malik, and he just didn't give the same intensity, in my opinion, as the first Malik. And by the way, that Karan is Terry Vaughn, her real husband. So I love how everybody acts, and it's all in the family and everything. But no, I can't think of anybody who actually they replaced and it worked better than the first one. Um, yeah, my wife and kids. I mean, it was only a few episodes where I feel like we saw the other little girl. I remember her too. Um, yep, I remember her. She looked more like Junior, and then when the new Claire came, her and the baby girl looked more alike than the rest of the family. So yeah, so what other do you guys have anybody else that you would add to your list? Again, these are non-struggle love couples with no toxicity, just chemistry, the ones that we don't recognize enough. I think most people think when they think of sitcom couples, they automatically go to the Cosby Show and then automatically go to Good Times. Although I'm not sure that the Evans are a couple that people aspire to be. Not, people don't aspire to live in poverty, but I think that their love story and the way that they treat their spouses is always a beautiful thing to look at. But I also wanted to, but what I wanted to examine today was those couples, those middle class couples, those everyday couples that are relatable and that we certainly can not only aspire to but can attain the love. So y'all know my top three were the Winslows, the Petersons, and the Jenkins family, and we had our honorable mentions and then our questionable. So that's all I had today. If y'all ever have any other topics that you want to discuss with Black sitcoms, because I can do this all day long and again tomorrow. Uh, let me know what y'all want to talk about. Let me know if you're with the replay gang. Let me know if you're with the replay gang. And if y'all made it this far, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We're on to our next goal of 500 subscribers. My thanks again. Thank you again for getting me there last week to our first goal of 100 subscribers. Again, this is Rewind the Light, Black Sitcom Spotlight, and today's talk was about the couples with no toxicity, just chemistry, and we wanted to give them their flowers. So that it. Wait a minute. Here we go. Here we go. So that's all I had today. I appreciate y'all joining me for the discussion. Did y'all have before we go though? Did y'all have any more couples that you thought should be on the list? Thanks for Demarcus for reminding me because again, I am going to go look at Read Between the Lines, try to see if I can find some episodes out here and watch those shows and see because I like context about things too. So I'm like, look, maybe there's some stories in those shows that we could talk about other topics on. So that's definitely something. I'm all about Black sitcoms. I'll go back and watch any of the ones that I see. And now I see that a lot of them are on the streaming apps. I've seen them on Tubi. I've seen them on I think there's some on Netflix, and there might be a few on Hulu. I think I want to go back and to watch some more of the ones from Amen because there is another. Oh, I cannot wait to do another live. It's on. Oh shoot, why is it escaping me? It's okay. I'll remember next time. You'll see it when you see my post about it. But I definitely have more in me. Definitely. I know this doesn't count, but they were on a black sitcom. That old couple that stayed getting it and keeping Khadijah and being able to sleep, yeah, on Living Single. Yeah, I remember them. They were moving out as Hamilton was moving in. That was Morris Chestnut's character. And they were, you know what? This is where I remember being like, Living Single was way before their time because right after they left, I remember Regine being like, "Oh, she was looking up something." They was like, "What are you looking for?" She was like, "I'm about to go look up Tai Chi," because that couple was on their way to their Tai Chi class. And that was in the 90s. I don't ever now. Also, they lived in New York City, and but I don't remember the rest of the world talking about Tai Chi back in the 90s. I just remember Tai Chi in the last 10 or so years. And so, yeah, they were a fun couple. Again, I'm all about that. And they were what, sex over 60? Hey. And just because you got snow on the roof doesn't mean there isn't fire in the furnace. So, Get your freak on. Get your freak on. Get your freak on. Period. Thank you, Monique, and I appreciate you joining me today. Y'all always make me laugh. I appreciate y'all coming in and participating because again, I could do this all day. I love talking about this sort of thing. And so again, don't forget, look, feel free to put in the comments, in the replay, if there are any other black sitcom topics you want to talk about, because we could talk about trivia. Like there's one show I want to do about like unanswered questions in black sitcoms, and like I'm gonna give an easy one because I've mentioned it before. But like, why was the Parkers cast? Why were they in community college for 5 years? Community college is supposed to be like 2 years, maybe 3 years, depending on what your subject matter is. But we had a whole 5 seasons. And then also the other thing too, like for having fraternities, sororities at community college, that's not a thing. Okay, just FYI, they don't do that. And it was so funny because it was a lot of things that I thought this is not something that you would see at community college. And also, like, why was Stevie going there? Her family was rich, and she had the grades and blah 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 blah. Like, why didn't she go off somewhere? Just stuff like that. But again, it's just fun to talk about. So again, I thank you again for joining me. We're gonna get off here, and don't forget to watch the replay if you missed what we're talking about today, and add in your suggestions. Don't forget to watch the very last episode. I'll be recapping the Family Business season 5, episode 10 on Tuesday, and you can also look forward to the next episodes 9 and 10 of Beauty and Black because Beauty and Black is back. We did a live. Oh, what day was that? What day was that? Was that Thursday, y'all? I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was Thursday. We did a live for the first reactions for the first episode of I think it was episode 9, along with Tika Deshawn and VKJ, and then we'll be doing our next live, a group live, along with those folks and Monique 69 Ways, and hopefully Lawrence Reports coming up, I believe, on Tuesday. So I hope you will join us there. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you know whenever I go live and whenever I upload a video. So until next time, y'all, I will talk to y'all later. Holla.